September 13th, 1996. Friday morning, 10:23. Hit Factory Studios, Manhattan. Studio B on the 3rd floor. The same room where Biggie's been working on Life After Death for the past 6 weeks. Same leather couch. Same mixing board. Same coffee-stained carpet. But today everything feels different. Heavier. Like the air itself weighs more than it should. Because today, 3,000 miles away in Las Vegas, they're burying Tupac Shakur. And everyone in this room knows it. Everyone feels it. Nobody's saying it. Biggie sits on the couch. Hasn't moved in 40 minutes. Headphones around his neck, not on his ears, just hanging there. The track is playing through the studio monitors. Something for the album. Something that was important yesterday. Something that feels completely meaningless today. DJ Premier is at the board, adjusting levels that don't need adjusting, moving faders that don't need moving, doing anything to fill the silence, to make this feel like a normal session, to pretend they're actually working. They're not working. They're just here, because the alternative is being somewhere else, being home, being alone with thoughts that are too big and too complicated and too painful to process alone. So they're here, in the studio, going through the motions, pretending, the way you pretend at a funeral that you're okay, that you're handling it, that grief is something manageable. The security guard, a man named Marcus Webb, stands by the door. Former NYPD, been working with Bad Boy for 2 years, seen everything, heard everything, knows how to be invisible when he needs to be invisible. Right now, he's invisible, just a presence, just someone making sure nobody who shouldn't be here gets in. He checks his watch. 10:25. The funeral started 25 minutes ago. He knows this because he looked it up. Called the cemetery. Forest Lawn Memorial Park. Asked what time the service was. Didn't say why he was asking. Just needed to know. Needed to mark the moment. Needed to witness. Even from 3,000 miles away. Biggie stands up. Sudden. Not aggressive. Just done sitting. I need some air. His voice is flat. Empty. Not the voice that recorded Ready to Die. Not the voice that's been dominating radio for 2 years. Just a voice, belonging to a person, a 24-year-old person who doesn't know how to feel what he's feeling. You want company? Premier asks. Careful, gentle, the way you talk to someone standing too close to an edge. Nah, just need a minute. Biggie walks out. Marcus follows at a distance, not close, just present, just there in case. In case of what? He's not sure, but there. The hallway is empty. Fluorescent lights, beige walls, industrial carpet, the kind of space that exists only to connect other spaces. Biggie stops at a window, looks out at Manhattan, at the city that made him, at the buildings and streets, and people who have no idea what's happening in Las Vegas right now, who don't know that one of the greatest rappers who ever lived is being buried while they walk to lunch, while they hail cabs, while they live their lives like today is just another Friday. Marcus stands 15 feet back, gives space, watches. He's good at his job because he knows when to be there and when to not be there. Right now is a not be there moment. But then Biggie turns, looks at Marcus, really looks at him, makes eye contact in a way that means something's coming. Something's about to be asked. Marcus, you know any florists? Biggie's voice is quiet, almost a whisper. Marcus is caught off guard. Of all the things he expected Biggie to say, this wasn't one of them. Florists? Like flower shops? Yeah, good ones. Ones that deliver. Long distance. Biggie's face is unreadable, neutral, but his eyes aren't neutral. His eyes are doing something, working something out, processing something that's bigger than flowers. I know a place. My sister uses them. They do deliveries nationwide. Why? Marcus asks it carefully, already knowing he probably won't get a real answer, already knowing this is going to be one of those things that doesn't get explained. I need you to do something for me, and I need you to not ask questions. Biggie pulls out his wallet, thick with cash. Always carries cash, even when it makes no sense to carry cash. Old habits from Brooklyn, from when having money in your pocket was the only thing between you and hunger. He counts out bills, hundreds, 20 of them, $2,000, hands them to Marcus. Marcus takes the money, confused, waiting for instruction, waiting for explanation that he knows isn't coming. Call that florist. Order white roses. A lot of them. $2,000 worth. I want them delivered today. To Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Las Vegas. No card. No name. Just the flowers. Can you do that? Biggie's voice is steady, controlled, like he's ordering studio equipment. Like this is a normal business transaction. Marcus understands before his brain fully processes. Understands what this is, what this means, who these flowers are for. Big, you sure about this? He asks it gently, not questioning the decision. Just making sure. Just confirming. I'm sure. White roses. Today, no name. Nobody can know these came from me. Nobody. You understand? Biggie's eyes are intense now. Urgent. This matters. This matters more than anything has mattered in this studio today. I understand. Marcus pockets the cash. I'll take care of it. Thank you. Biggie turns back to the window. The conversation is over. Marcus heads downstairs, pulls out his phone, dials his sister, gets the florist number, calls them. A woman answers. Professional, cheerful, blossoms and petals. How can I help you? I need to place an urgent delivery order for today to Las Vegas. Marcus keeps his voice neutral, businesslike. Today to Las Vegas? She sounds skeptical. That's very short notice. What's the occasion? Does it matter? Marcus's tone sharpens slightly. I have cash. $2,000. I need white roses delivered to Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Las Vegas today before 5 p.m. their time. Can you do it or not? The skepticism disappears. $2,000 changes a lot of things. Yes, we can do that. We have a partner florist in Las Vegas. We can coordinate. $2,000 will get you, let me calculate, approximately 12 dozen premium white roses. Long stem. Is that acceptable? That's fine. 144 white roses. Delivered today. Forest Lawn Memorial Park. No card. No message. Just the flowers. I'll bring cash to your shop within the hour. Marcus is already walking toward the exit, already planning the route to the flower shop. Wait, no card. No message. Sir, funeral flowers typically include no card. Marcus cuts her off. Firm. Final. Just flowers. White roses. That's it. Understood. I'll need a delivery name for the cemetery. They won't accept anonymous. Put it under. Marcus thinks. Needs a name. Something that won't raise questions. Something that won't connect. Put it under M. Webb. That's all they need. M. Webb. Got it. And where should we bill? Cash. I told you. I'll be there in 40 minutes with $2,000 cash. You coordinate with Las Vegas. Make sure they deliver today, before 5 p.m. Pacific time. Confirm? Confirmed. We'll have everything ready. She gives him the shop address. Midtown. Marcus hangs up, heads to the street, hails a cab. At the flower shop, the transaction takes 8 minutes. Marcus hands over the cash. The woman counts it, confirms the order, calls the Las Vegas florist while Marcus waits, confirms they can deliver today. 12 dozen white roses. Forest Lawn Memorial Park. M. Webb. No card. No message. Everything is arranged. Everything is set. Marcus leaves. Goes back to the studio. Biggie is back on the couch. Headphones on now. Actually listening to the track. Actually working. Or pretending to work well enough that it looks real. Marcus catches his eye, nods once. Done. Biggie nods back. Thanks conveyed without words, without acknowledgement, without anything that anyone else in the room would notice. But the message is clear. The flowers are handled. The gesture is made. The thing Biggie needed to do is being done. 3,000 miles away, Forest Lawn Memorial Park is preparing for a funeral that the whole world is watching. Media everywhere. Cameras, reporters, celebrities, fans, security trying to manage chaos, trying to create space for grief in a circus. The service is closed to press, family only, close friends only. But outside, hundreds of people gather, thousands maybe, all wanting to be close to something they can't quite name, all wanting to witness, all wanting to say they were there the day they buried Tupac Shakur. Inside, the chapel is filled with people who knew him, really knew him. Afeni Shakur sits in the front row, Tupac's mother, the strongest woman anyone has ever seen, and the most broken all at once. She's dressed in black, dignified, composed, but her hands shake. Her eyes are red from days of crying, from a week of impossible decisions, from having to bury her son, her baby, her Tupac, 25 years old, gone, murdered. For what? For nothing. For everything. For reasons that make no sense and make all the sense in the world. The service happens. Eulogies, prayers, music. People speak about Tupac's talent, his passion, his impact, his poetry, his fire. They speak about what he meant, what he means, what he'll always mean. Afeni listens to it all, numb, present but not present, hearing but not hearing, going through motions because you have to go through motions. Because if you stop, if you let yourself actually feel the full weight of this, you'll collapse. You'll shatter. You'll never get back up. After the chapel service, they process to the burial site. The casket is carried. The plot is prepared. The moment approaches when he goes into the ground, and it becomes real and final and forever. Afeni walks behind the casket, supported by family, supported by friends, barely supported by her own legs, that don't want to work, that want to give out, that want to let her fall because falling seems appropriate, seems like the only honest response to this. At the burial site, she notices them for the first time. Flowers, so many flowers, arrangements everywhere, from family, from friends, from record labels, from fans, from people all over the world sending their love and grief and flowers. Because flowers are what you send when words aren't enough. But one arrangement stands out. 12 dozen white roses. All white. No colors. No mixed bouquets. Just white. Pure white. Long stem. Premium. Expensive. Beautiful. They're positioned at the head of the grave site. Prominent. Impossible to miss. But there's no card. No ribbon with a name. No indication who sent them. Afeni notices. Walks to the arrangement. Looks for a card. There has to be a card. Flowers this expensive. This many. This beautiful. Someone sent them. Someone wanted Tupac to have them. But there's nothing. Just roses. Just white. Just silent. She asks the funeral director, "These roses, who sent them?" The funeral director checks his papers. Looks confused. "It just says M. Webb. No other information. They were delivered this morning from a local florist. Paid in cash. No message included. M. Webb. Who is that? Do we know them?" Afeni looks around, asking anyone, asking everyone. But nobody knows. Nobody's heard of him. Webb. The name means nothing. Could be anyone. Could be nobody. Could be a mistake. The white roses remain a mystery. A beautiful mystery. A gesture from someone who loved Tupac, or respected him, or mourned him. Someone who wanted to send flowers, but didn't want to be known. Afeni spends the next few days asking, calling florists, trying to trace them, but the trail ends cold. Cash transaction. Anonymous delivery. M. Webb. Nothing. Eventually she stops asking, accepts them as one of those things, one of those kindnesses that appears without explanation, without origin. She takes one white rose from the arrangement, presses it, keeps it, a token of unknown love, of anonymous respect, of someone somewhere who cared enough to send flowers, and humble enough to not want credit. Years pass. The white roses become part of the story Afeni tells herself, part of how she processes Tupac's death. Someone sent them, someone good, someone who understood that flowers matter, that gestures matter, that beauty matters even in grief. She doesn't know who, probably never will, but knowing that someone cared that much, anonymously, helps somehow, makes the world feel slightly less cruel. March 9th, 1997, 6 months after Tupac's funeral, Biggie is shot and killed in Los Angeles, 24 years old. The East Coast-West Coast beef claims another king. Another mother buries her son. Another impossible loss. Another funeral where the world watches and grieves and tries to make sense of senseless violence. At Biggie's funeral, Afeni Shakur sends flowers, not anonymously, with her name on the card. White roses. Because that's what you send. That's what you do when another mother loses her son. When another family experiences what you experienced. You send flowers. You acknowledge the loss. You say with roses what words can't say. I understand. I've been there. I'm sorry. Years continue passing. 2005, 2008, 2010. The 20th century becomes history. Hip-hop evolves. The beef becomes legend, becomes cautionary tale, becomes nostalgia. People write books, make documentaries, analyze what happened, why it happened, who was responsible, who could have stopped it. But nobody can change it. Nobody can bring them back. Tupac and Biggie remain dead, remain gone, remain the what if of hip-hop. 2011, 15 years after Tupac's funeral. Afeni is doing an interview for a documentary, talking about her son, about his legacy, about her grief, about how she survives. The interviewer asks about the funeral, about that day, about specific memories. I remember the white roses, Afeni says. All white, 12 dozen, no card, no name, just M. Webb, I never found out who sent them. It's been 15 years, and I still don't know. The interview airs, reaches millions of people, reaches everyone who was anyone in hip-hop in the 90s, reaches people who were there, who remember, who know things. One of those people is a woman named Sharon Bailey, former assistant at Bad Boy Records, worked there from 1994 to 1998, left the industry afterward, got married, had kids, became a teacher, lives a quiet life far from the music business. But she watched that documentary, heard Afeni talk about the white roses, and she knows. She knows because she was there. She processed the expenses. She saw the receipt. $2,000. White roses. Las Vegas delivery. September 13th, 1996. Web security authorization. She filed it under miscellaneous. Never asked questions. Wasn't her place to ask questions. But now, 15 years later, hearing Afeni Shakur say she never knew, Sharon Bailey feels something shift. Feels like the secret has an expiration date. Feels like maybe Afeni deserves to know. Not for publicity. Not for a story. Just because a mother who buried her son should know that her son's peer, his supposed enemy, his complicated friend turned rival, sent flowers, sent them anonymously, sent them with respect, sent them because underneath everything else, there was still something human, something that transcended beef and coast wars and industry bullshit. Sharon tracks down Afeni's contact through the documentary production company, sends an email. Mrs. Shakur, you don't know me, but I have information about the white roses at Tupac's funeral. The Web arrangement. I was working at Bad Boy Records in 1996. I saw the receipt. Christopher Wallace ordered those flowers. He paid cash. He insisted on no card. He wanted them delivered anonymously. He wanted Tupac to have white roses, and he didn't want anyone to know they came from him. I thought you should know. Afeni reads the email sitting in her kitchen. Reads it 3 times. Her hands start shaking. 15 years. 15 years she's wondered. 15 years she's told the story about anonymous roses. And now she knows. Biggie sent them. Christopher sent them. The man the world blamed for Tupac's death and conspiracy theories, and diss tracks and documentaries. The man who died 6 months after Tupac in the same senseless cycle of violence. He sent white roses. He spent $2,000. He ordered them the day of the funeral. He made sure they arrived. He made sure Tupac was honored. He made sure there was beauty. And he made sure nobody knew. Afeni calls Sharon, thanks her through tears, through a breaking voice that can barely form words. I wish I had known. I wish I could have thanked him. I wish I could have told him it mattered. I think he knew it mattered, Sharon says gently. That's why he did it, not for thanks. Just because it needed to be done. Afeni hangs up, sits in her kitchen, cries for the first time in years about Tupac, but also about Biggie, about 2 young men who got caught in something bigger than themselves, who became symbols, who became enemies, but who underneath it all, in the quiet moments, in the private gestures, still saw each other as human, still respected each other as artists, still grieved each other as losses. She goes to her bedroom, opens the drawer where she keeps the pressed white rose, the one she took from the anonymous arrangement 15 years ago, the one she's kept all this time not knowing why, not knowing it mattered, knowing it only as a beautiful mystery. Now it's not a mystery. Now it has a name. Christopher Wallace. Biggie Smalls. The notorious B.I.G. sent white roses to her son's funeral and asked for no credit, grieved publicly through beef and privately through flowers. She holds the pressed rose, whispers to it, "Thank you, Christopher. I wish you were here so I could say it to your face. But thank you. It mattered. The roses mattered. You mattered. I'm sorry we all couldn't see past the noise to the truth until it was too late." The pressed rose stays in her drawer. But now it means something different. Now it's not just a token of unknown love. It's a specific love. A complicated love. A love that couldn't speak its name while both men were alive. A love that could only exist in flowers delivered anonymously to a funeral. A love that waited 15 years to be acknowledged, to be known, to be understood for what it was. 2 artists who respected each other more than the world ever let them show. Marcus Webb, the security guard who made the call, who delivered the cash, who coordinated the flowers, never tells the story publicly, even when people ask, even when documentaries want his perspective, even when the truth comes out through Sharon. He stays silent, because Biggie asked him to, because the promise was forever, because some things you keep quiet even after everyone dies, even after the secret is revealed by others. You keep it because you gave your word, and your word means something. But in private, to his family, to his children, he tells the story about the day Tupac was buried and Biggie stood in a hallway in Manhattan staring out a window and counting out $2,000 in cash, about white roses delivered across the country with no card, about a gesture that mattered more than anyone knew, about how sometimes the measure of a man isn't in what he says publicly, but in what he does privately.